What really happened here?
I have no earthly idea.
Did 3 acrobats really choose to avenge their sister's death?
I think this is a very important topic.
And haven't dogs and cats been known to predict earthquakes?
Why would I have any reason to disagree with that?
But what about the detail of the chocolate chip cookies?
Well then, what claim are you making?
How else do you explain both people using the same computer repair shop?
Why would that have happened?
If not, how could the boy suddenly speak Chinese?
I'm simply saying, can you explain the contradiction in your own presentation?
But then how do you explain the Grim Reaper?
Why did God feel the need to play both sides of that conflict?
And what about this unusually shaped chair?
You don't feel like you're reading something into that?
Why did the insult machine suddenly give compliments?
Do I agree with everything he ever said?
And how do you account for the loose stitching on the quilt?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy.
Was Jocelyn really cursed by the beautician?
What have you done?
If so, how do you explain the doll using the name Miss Robinson?
How many pastors in here preached a sermon?
But then, how do you explain the grease and screwdriver in the father's bed?
You know what? I think this person's child needs cancer now.
If so, how did the men's room attendant know so much about Artie?
Well, doesn't he interact with us in time?
But then, how could he have possibly known about the children's playground?
Because as the sovereign king, he has decreed.
If so, how did he get the gift back?
How do you respond to that?
For some children, summer camp recalls more bitter feelings.
How would that be related to his creative power?
But then, who murdered Professor Wainwright?
Can you regret something that turns out exactly as you made it turn out?
And how do you explain the pen?
Why perform a test in the first place?
And how do you explain the fact that the box fell at just the right time? How do you explain the smudge on the phrenologist's head?
You want to say those things are out of context?
But who was Elmo P. Middleton? Did the spirit of Abraham Lincoln actually seize hold of Senator Quigley and force him to tell the truth?
Do you think Abraham was changed by going to bat?
Who was the cowboy who confronted Johnny and Larry that night? Was the old woman in on it too? Could Danny have been hallucinating? But if Dan was hallucinating, who ate house food?
They can't surprise you?
What about the mysterious behavior of the barbecue lid?
And what did the early church say in Acts chapter 4?
Was it really the nanny? Does this story seem possible? Was the morgue attendant in on the deception too? Were there gases trapped within the milk bucket that caused the activity?
When I expected it to yield good grapes, why did it yield wild grapes?
Was the sewing machine taken over by the spirit of Byron's grandmother?
What utter foolishness!
Could a plant really identify a murderer? Is it possible that a parrot could give a young girl the will to live?
So, do you believe in the Deutero-Isaiah view?
Was the sister's husband really the victim of amnesia? Then how do you explain the bullet hole in his phone?
What about the decree? Well, what about the decree?
Can a fertilized octopus egg ingested into the human system actually grow inside the body?
Do not have that opportunity, sir.
If someone takes your picture, they steal your soul.
Can you regret something that turns out exactly as you made it turn out?
No way. Not this time. You believe this story? It's false. We created it. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's a total fabrication.
You've shown me no evidence of having any solid understanding.
This one was invented by a writer.
What foolishness!
You're wrong. Not this time. It never happened. There are some things in life that it's best to look away from.